So hello everyone, this is Kim Schmidt, the executive editor of Farm Equipment, coming to you from my home office this time around. Next up in our Farm Equipment Thought Leaders series, we're sitting down with Kelly Mathison of the Western Equipment Dealers Association's Dealer Institute to talk a little bit about parts and service departments and what dealers can be doing and looking at right now. So I guess to start, Kelly, can you just give us kind of an update on what's going on your end and in your part of the world?
Yeah, well, thanks for having us on, Kim. And we've been really busy. Well, we were quite busy right through the fall and right up until mid-March, working with dealers, parts and service departments right across North America, doing some public classes as well as what we call on-site work with dealers. And I think with the downturn on the whole goods side that we saw, a lot of dealers are really starting to put a better focus on their aftermarket and looking after customers, not only from customer satisfaction, but also as an important part of their business to generate that cash flow to keep the business going through the slowdown in whole goods sales. So that kept us quite busy. And then since then, of course, like most people, have been grounded since mid-March. So it's been working with dealers either on the phone. We've done a few web-based sessions with dealers, and then we've also created some videos, little tidbit videos that we've been putting out on our YouTube channel, as well as through LinkedIn and what have you, and sending direct to dealers. So that's keeping us busy, but it's not like getting out and visiting customers.
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit different. So what are some things from your perspective that dealers should be doing right now in the parts department to make sure that they're, still satisfying customer needs and, operating as fully as they can in this circumstance? Right.
Well, there's a few things, obviously, safety and respecting. I think, most dealers are really doing a fantastic job around, protecting customers, protecting staff, whether they're doing some online orders. But that's probably the first one is I know a lot of dealers maybe had parts online systems to order, or some of them were actually a little short in that department, and this has forced them to up their game, so to speak, because obviously customers are wanting to shop online, and if you haven't got anything in your website to help customers shop online, you're going to be left in the dust. So that's been really something. And then talking to dealers that have had even some good parts online systems weren't seeing the activity that they have this year, and it's really taken off, and that's great. But they've also learned a few lessons on streamlining, making it easier to pay, making it easier to look up parts, put in instructions as far as shipping or pickup. So they've able to, to repair some things that they didn't really notice when the volume was down. So, I think that's been one. The other one that I think on the part side that I've certainly talked to customers, or both customers and dealerships that have, some of them have closed their dealership to the public, so they're only really offering parts pickup, or they've got drop boxes where they're dropping parts off into certain areas. And so in some cases, customers are saying, quite often I'd make a list of the things I know I need, and then I'd visit the dealership, and there might be 10 or 15 more, you might call them impulse items, that they don't notice, that, they notice when they get in the showroom. So, when talking to customers are saying, gee, I miss that, being able to walk in. The other side of it is for parts people to suggestively sell, hey, if you're buying this, you might need this, or you might need a few of those to go along with it. So being a little more proactive with customers to fill those orders, especially if they've made that order online, you may not even have had that chance to talk to the customer. So, so that's a good one. So some dealers, a couple of good ideas that I'd heard was, dealers making what we call convenience packages. So they're making up a package to say, these are the 10 or 15 items that you might need for your planter or for your air seeder or for your sprayer. And we put it all together, just emergency parts you might need. And it makes it a lot easier for that customer to say, well, you know what, I'll take the whole box, and what I don't use, I probably can return some of it. And in most cases, that's fine. And also, so that's machine specific. There's also things like maybe service accessories. So the little things like the spray lubricants, the cleaners, zip ties, chain and cable lube, any of those things, Loctite, an extra grease gun, all the things that a customer might say, gee, I wish I had that in my pickup truck or the cab of my tractor. And if a dealer put it all together and say, you know what, here's a package, it's $200 and it's got everything you probably are going to need for service accessories, a customer might say, that's perfect. I'm going to need all that stuff so just make it so much easier for the customer, so it makes the customer happier and it drives your impulse part sales.
Okay. And then from the service standpoint, what are some things?
I think with the service side, again, especially, a lot of dealers have done a fantastic job with their preseason and postseason inspections through the winter. And now they're going out to customers, maybe making, more emergency repairs. So again, if it's a hassle for the customer, maybe they're disaffecting their cab or whatever, for to have that technician come out and work on something, or they're not even at the work site when that technician shows up, is to be more proactive, to look, to talk to customers, to say, is there anything else I can do while I'm there? Because it's a huge hassle for you, it's a hassle for me. So while I'm there, is there anything else I can look at? And also being proactive, just to say, while I'm there, I'll take a walk around your tractor, I'll take a walk around your planter or your sprayer. Maybe I'll notice a leak or a fitting or something, that you may not have noticed that a trained technician might pick up. And it just makes it better for that customer. And that can happen whether a machine's coming into the shop or whether you're doing that in the field. So I think being a little more proactive and really showing that, that to a customer.
Mm-hmm. Do you think any of these, different processes that have been put in place, the curbside pickup, stuff like that, is going to stick around once, dealerships can be open to the public again and things like that?
Yeah. I think there's certainly going to be some changes. I know a lot of, again, I've talked to dealers that have said, customers have said, I really didn't use your online parts ordering, but now that I've been forced to, I really like it. So that's positive. So we're going to have to make sure, again, the dealers that are doing a good job of it are going to benefit. The ones that have said, I really haven't invested too much money in a website, they might be thinking, I better get on this, get in the game, because they're going to be losing some business. So I think there's a couple of things right there. I also think it's interesting. I was watching your video on customer loyalty, mm-hmm. and it's funny. I noticed invoice price or price became an issue with customers, and it's funny because I also talk to a lot of customers, and my belief and what I hear from customers, it's not necessarily the price of something; it's the value they see. Okay. And I'll use a great example in parts and service. For most manufacturers, they provide a parts warranty. So if you buy a part over the counter, you might get a 30, 60, 90-day parts warranty. However, if the technician, and that's on the purchase price of the part, but if a trained technician installs that part, it can quite often go to 6 months or 12 months, and that includes parts and labor. So a customer might say, oh, I can just install that myself. But once they realize, wow, for $100 more, I can get you to install it, and it doubles the warranty. You do it. Like, that's really good value for me. So that's just an example where dealers, I think we need to do a better job of explaining the value. The customer can still make a choice, but I know warranty is quite often high on a customer's wish list. Mm-hmm. And there's a good example to say to a customer, you realize that if we do this, your warranty doubles, and are you sure you don't want that peace of mind? And you'd be surprised how many customers will say, it's not worth it. For me to save $200 and then be down in the middle of planting season or spraying season or haying season, forget it. I'll get you guys to do it. And then I know it's done right. So again, I look at value versus price. We need to do a better job, I believe, in my industry, in our industry, at explaining that to customers.
What do you think are ways dealers can be, either educating the customer on those warranty options and how, the benefit of it, or just promoting it in general?
Well, first of all, is make sure all the frontline staff understand it. Again, I visit lots of dealers, and sometimes I'll actually ask front counter people, what is the warranty on a part? and often I'll get a blank look. So it'd be pretty tough to explain it if you don't know it yourself. So make sure your frontline parts people understand, and then your technicians. So a technician can say to a customer, here's the deal if I install it, here's the deal if you install it. I just want to let you know your choices. And here's the value that goes with that. And sometimes if a customer, once they see the value, they'll make the right decision that suits them best.
Okay.
So it's just making sure your frontline people understand it.
Okay. And then what is one thing dealers should be doing right now to ensure their success for the business, going forward or in the future?
I think my belief is right through the organization, whether it's sales, parts, service, they need to understand how that customer makes money. What do their customers want? Not the dealer's customer, but the farmer or the producer's customer. How does he make or she make their money? How do they make their money? And then where do we fit? I firmly believe that the customers of the future are going to want a return on investment, and they want a true partner. They don't need a middleman, so to speak. So I think dealers that can figure out a way to say, I'm a true partner, this is how I can help you, this is how you can make your operation more profitable, and here's how we fit into that supply chain. And if they can show customers that, customers are going to say, I trust you. I think the level of trust in our industry is quite high with customers and dealers. Mm-hmm. But if they don't see that value and they don't believe there's a return on that investment, they're going to go shopping. And so I think we need to do, really, and that includes all your frontline people, not just the salespeople or the owners. Everybody needs to understand that. Okay.
And then on the flip side of that, what's one thing dealers should make sure they're not doing right now?
Well, that's a good question. I would say I think the expectation that things will just return to the way they used to be. I think we need to make sure that we're really looking at those opportunities. We've learned some hard lessons here, but I think what dealers need to be doing is saying, we really have to understand what's going on here and what's going to be the trend going forward with some of these changes that are coming, and are we ready to do it? And online parts or virtual optimization clinics through video rather than hosting a clinic at the dealership. Those are big changes that are probably going to happen. And so dealers that aren't doing it are going to have to get at it.
Okay. Anything else you want to add that maybe we didn't touch on?
A lot of customers, again, when they talk about price, when it comes to parts and service, there's more choices out there. So there's the genuine OEM parts, whether it's Case or New Holland or John Deere, Kubota, genuine parts, but a lot of manufacturers now have reman options, mm-hmm. which can save customers some money. And then there's also aftermarket parts that are non-OEM that will work for older equipment. So again, showing those options to customers so that you don't lose that business is going to be critical. So I think making sure customers don't just walk out the door saying your price is too high when you said, I could have given you a reman option and saved you $300. That might do the trick. So mm-hmm. making sure your frontline people, parts and service, understand that.
Right, and really know if this option doesn't work for the dealer or for the customer, that a second or third option potentially exists that you can try to save some level of sale.
Right, and most dealers have access to either aftermarket non-OEM parts or genuine parts, and just about every manufacturer has some sort of a remanufactured option. So sometimes doesn't get promoted like it should, and customers sometimes aren't aware of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, always a pleasure catching up with you. Appreciate the time.
Well, thank you.